Hello, hello, test, test. Can you test? Everything good? Sounds good. Can you guys hear me in the back? Good. Thank you. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Got it? Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, since you're saying a lot, should I not be up here?
It's up to you. If you would like, I mean, because then.
Closing, right?
So no, you're saying you're starting here, executive to candidates, and then you'll keep going. And you are going to go through all the executive candidates and then the conclusion.
Okay.
So yours is like the conclusion is shorter, but the executive candidates will take a while, but still.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't.
It is all.
Hello? Yeah, we're just not speaking into it. Hello? Oh, you're right. Sorry. Okay, if we get started. Alrighty. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming out to the 2022 SGA candidate debate sponsored by the Election Commission. My name is Brianna Watts. I am the head commissioner. The other members of the Election Commission are Kennedy Wilkerson, Daje Hori, Shane Rayner, and Bethlehem Bogle. I would also like to introduce our advisor, Chris Rindosh, and Carly Steinberg, who is not here today. The Election Commission is an impartial and independent group of students who assist in planning and running the Towson University SGA election every year. We also encourage students both to run and to vote in the election. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates wishing to represent you and your peers throughout the next academic year. To begin, we'll go over the structure of the debate. The debate will consist of two portions. The first will be the senator candidates delivering their statements, followed by the executive candidate statements and a question and answer section. Before we begin, we're going to go over the audience questions and debate decorum. Around the theater, you'll see large posters that have a slido.com link to submit your questions. There's a poster there, and as you walked in. It is anonymous. The questions during the executive candidate portion will come from questions submitted from the audience. You can submit your questions starting now. If you would like your question to be directed to candidates of a specific position, please be sure to denote that in your post, such as this question is for the treasurer candidates. The Election Commission will be screening the questions and selecting the questions for the moderators to ask. Questions directed toward an individual candidate or questions that attack or disparage candidates will not be read. All candidates must be able to respond to the questions asked. Due to time constraints, we cannot guarantee that all questions will be asked, even if they meet these guidelines. We ask that you please be respectful of all candidates and to remain quiet while candidates are speaking so everyone can hear the candidate responses. There will be no disruptive behavior tolerated. If you are having trouble submitting a question, please get Kennedy's attention. Kennedy, if you could wave. That's Kennedy. And she will help you submit your question. We will now begin the Senate portion of the debate. Each candidate will be invited to the stage and have up to 2 minutes to make a statement. At 30 seconds, our timekeeper, Shane, if you could wave, will hold up an orange card to let you know you have 30 seconds left. Okay. At 10 seconds, the timekeeper will hold up a red card. After your time is up, the moderators will stop you if you have not completed your comments. For candidates that could not make the debate, we have candidate statements that were submitted via email at the beginning of the election cycle that we will read. As a reminder, you can submit your questions through slido.com, and we have provided the link and the code right above. Yes, so it's 978833. Okay. So we will now begin with the Senate candidates. When you hear your name called, please come up to the stage to deliver your statement. You will enter the stage through the door to my right. So Delena Afworky, if you could please come to the stage. If you'd like, you can just stand here. If you'd like, you can just read from here.
Okay. No, okay, sorry.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Delena Afworky. I am a rising sophomore pursuing a degree in political science with a minor in human rights and history. I am a first-generation Eritrean American student born and raised in Silver Spring, Montgomery County, Maryland. In my high school career, I became involved in student government and a few organizations because of my passion for advocating for students and helping them find their voices. In my community and many others, young people are treated differently and often do not have the same access to or receive the same resources because of where they live, race, and socioeconomic status. I decided to become involved to make a difference. After being accepted at Towson, I was excited and wanted to find my place. During my first year, I began to build my community as a student, a member of the Ethiopian Eritrean Student Association, ESA, and living in the Sage residential community. There are some similarities between Towson and my community in Montgomery County. I began to think to myself, if I stood up for my community concerns when I was living back home, why am I not standing up for it here? I noticed that there were some areas where we can continue to improve the student experience. And for that reason, I decided to run for SGA Senator. As a senator, I want to include more cultural and minority clubs in the decision-making process. I want more of the clubs to have representation in the General Assembly meetings and to represent their members in front of SGA. Many students don't know who's in SGA and who's representing them in front of the administration. I care a lot about building relationships and gaining trust to represent my peers. I will work hard to gain your trust as one of your representatives. Lastly, I wanted to share something I learned about during the shutdown of the COVID-19 pandemic. The most significant power you have is your voice. You have the freedom to use your voice. You have the ability to make sure your voice is being heard and to challenge others. Next year, as your senator, I hope I can help you use your voice and make sure it's heard. Thank you for your time tonight. If you have any questions, please come find me. And don't forget to vote April 20th.
All righty, thank you, Delena. Our second senator candidate, Fatima Salim, was unable to attend today, so I will read her statement now. Hello, my name is Fatima Salim, and I'm rerunning for SGA Senator for the 102nd Administration. I will utilize what I've learned over this past year to strengthen the Senate and bring forth new legislation and student concerns. My main objective will be to build upon this year's work and address more student concerns dealing with campus life. I seek to bring forth positive change to the Senate and serve as a familiar face to Towson's community. Thank you. Now we will move on to the executive candidates, and I will hand it over to Dajay, our other moderator for the debate tonight.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Okay, good evening. Executive candidates will be called out by their position they are running for. Our order of speaking shall be Attorney General, Treasurer, Vice President, and then President. All executive candidates will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement. All candidates running for Vice President, President, and Attorney General will be asked questions. The first question will come from the commissioners. The rest will come from our Ask FN. Using the SILDO link, we will be asking questions that can be answered by all by all parties in the debates. You can find them to your sides. Each executive candidate will be given 30 seconds to wrap up after each question will be asked. All executive candidates will receive the same 30-second and 10-second warning as their time expires. Candidates, when you hear your position call, please come up. Once you get there, okay, so we'll start with the attorney generals. Bree. You guys can be seated right over. You can sit right over there. Whichever one of you want to go first can come right on up. All right.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? All right, my name is Christopher Masore. I major in exercise science, and I also major in BFA acting. I currently serve as a vice chair for the Senate Appropriations Committee, and I'm running to be your next Attorney General. As your Attorney General, I guarantee efficiency, transparency, and a more energetic SGA to promote more accessibility to students. It's important to establish transparency and build strong relationships to understand your needs while creating ways to positively address them. I would create a public relations committee fostering connections with students while also providing weekly reports of activity from your SGA. This will hold us, an organization, accountable to holding ourselves to a higher standard of work. Towson SGA has a rich legacy of leadership, commitment, and service. As the Provost Vice Chair, I wrote a legislation that would help make more of the transition materials smoothly for students to appeal to. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elias Rodriguez, and I'm your Attorney General candidate for the Ignite TU ticket. Currently, I'm serving as the Director of Communications for the SGA, and I believe that position has helped me become both an affable person and a confident leader, skills needed for this position. I did want to clear the air and let you know that, yes, I am a freshman. I fully embrace that, and I'm proud to be standing here as one. But I promise you, that won't stop me from getting the job done. As Attorney General, it will be my responsibility to build a strong J board, hold all members accountable, and uphold our promises to the students. A large part of my job would also be to conduct professional development reviews, something that nobody enjoys and is very hard to do. These are meetings no one enjoys. My goal is to make them more effective, more... I need to sneeze, I'm sorry. Allergy season. I want to make these meetings into learning experiences, and the overall process needs to be more productive, but I won't stop there. I want to evolve the SGA into a more unified and welcoming organization for all students, as well as creating trust between me and my fellow members. I want to create an environment where everyone feels equally respected and heard. No student should be afraid to come to me with a grievance, whether it be against another member, someone on the executive board, or me.
Thank you. Can we give another round of applause for our Attorney General candidates? Thank you. All right, now we will start for our first question by the election commissioners. All right, so Attorney General candidates, what are you most excited to plan and execute in SGA if you were to be elected?
I'm more excited to just build relationships with everyone in SGA. Also, I feel like, in my opinion, a PDR is not a punishment. I feel like it can help somebody improve. And I just want to be just a vocal point and like a backbone for people in SGA and the judicial board, members, senators, directors, just for them to come to and not look at the attorney general like someone who's just some guy that's just going to give out PDRs if you do something wrong, but just for someone to help improve.
Something I'm most excited for is to build relationships. Like he said before, Attorney General shouldn't just be someone who gives out PDRs. This is a learning experience for all students. The whole reason of a PDR is to figure out what we did wrong and to move forward from it. I believe our Attorney General currently has done an amazing job at that. I've taken a lot of experience from her personally in our individual meetings, and I hope to implement a lot of what she has done in my term as Attorney General. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys for those answers. Your next question is going to be from the audience. What is your stance on climate change? What will your administration to do to create a more green and climate resilient Towson University?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat that one more time?
Yeah, of course. What is your stance on climate change? What will your administration do to create a more green and climate resilient Towson University?
Well, my campaign, my ticket, I feel like we're definitely prepared. I feel like we have a great platform. We have connections with the current administration for SGA. And, once again, we just want to make it more accessible and more appealing and just understand how the students want to like transition into their material and knowing what they want and need in order for us to grow as a university.
My administration, what we have a plan to do is to work closely with our director of community outreach along with our director of civic engagement to make sure we plan events to have spread better awareness of climate change and help raise awareness to the fact. I know for a fact that we helped work on several bills and ideas to move forward in the future to implement these ideas, to implement these plans. Thank you.
All right, so the next question. If elected, what will your priorities be?
My first priority would be, handling the weekly reports and making sure that everyone in SGA gets it done on time. Also coming to General Assembly GA, which happens on Tuesday at 5 p.m. to 7, which could be really boring, but just make sure everybody comes on time wearing appropriate attire. Also, I want to make sure that we host more events, making sure we do more community service hours involving the campus to help us just get a better bond relationship and that we can build with each other, because I feel like the SGA is really important to students, and if we want to serve the students, we first have to learn how to serve ourselves. So yeah.
What I first want to do is set the tone for the year. I plan to do that over summer retreat and make sure that we know we are here to help you. I want to create that type of environment where anybody can come and talk to me with any type of grievance, with any type of problem, with any student, regardless of their position. We're all equals. We're all here to serve. We all want the same goal. Thank you.
All right, and last question. How familiar are you with the student body constitution and statutes?
I'm actually very familiar with this. I read it a couple days after I got confirmed as an assistant director when I first started out here, just because I wanted to know what I was getting into. I wanted to know other positions that are available in the coming years. And I read it over about 3 more times within the span of this campaign. I wanted to make sure that I was fully familiar with the roles of the Solicitor General, the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, and the other justices. The other associate justices. I'm sorry, I'm a little sick. But I wanted to make sure that I got my job done effectively and their jobs are done effectively as well. Thank you.
I definitely took a look at it too. I read through it deeply. The president, vice president, treasurer, chief of staff. I know how the roles work, what they do. And once again, we're all equal, like he said, and we shouldn't look at each other a certain type of way. And I feel like nobody has power. Everyone's equal.
Thank you. All right. You guys are good to go. Thank you guys so much for. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Now, before ending, we will go with our 30-second wrap-ups. Yeah, who would like to go first?
I want to promise you that I will hold all of our members accountable, regardless of their position. I will have those difficult conversations and make sure proper steps are put in place for the future. I'm going to instill a positive and safe environment where anyone can come and talk to me. But that can only happen if you vote for me in the Ignite TU ticket. Thank you.
All right. Our university needs an SGA attorney general that will commit themselves to fairness, equality, transparency, and progress. That candidate is me. I have already begun the work of ensuring the long-term success of Towson's SGA if elected. I will continue to do that by strengthening relationships with members and improving accountability processes. We will build a stronger SGA. Thank you.
All right, can we give our Attorney General candidates another round of applause? Okay, so next up, we'll have our Treasurer candidates. You guys can come on up to the stage. You guys can go right. Okay. Oh, well. All right, so similar to the other candidates, you guys will start with an opening statement, and then you have questions from your election commissioners, followed by questions from the audience, and then your 30-second wrap-ups. Whichever one of you wants to go first.
Good afternoon. My name is Chidi Wachanemere. I'm a sophomore IT major and serve as senator for the Towson Student Government Association. One of the most pivotal questions that I've been asked in my SGA career is why? Why are you an SGA? This question prompted me to look within myself and figure out a reason deeper than wanting to accomplish my SGA duties. My why is change. I want to be a vessel of change in everything that I do in life. I want to create an environment that is better than when I first came in. This is one of the main reasons why I'm running to be your SGA treasurer. The role of treasurer is usually an internal role that primarily addresses finances and does not extend much further. I want to break the stigma. I want to break the stigma of what treasurers are expected to do and be a resource beyond finances. Having extensive experience in the Senate, I've attained a true passion to be an advocate for the student body. And I plan on incorporating this into my experience and plan on building rapport with student organizations and ensuring that the student body is heard to the highest extent. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Myra Correa. I am a rising senior on the Pushing Progress ticket. I am one of the treasurer candidates for the 102nd SGA administration. I have been well-versed on campus with students as a community center assistant, SAGE mentor, and treasurer of the Latin American student organization that has helped. With being LASO's treasurer, I can confidently say I have experience with successfully creating, appealing, and working with a budget, as well as I am familiar with the budget hearing process and all alternative funding provided by SGA for students and student organizations. I completely understand the importance of Tiger Stripes and the role it plays in order for student organizations to have the SGA budget benefit. If elected, I will ensure student wellness by continuing to fund the Student Relief Fund, which provides students with financial support, as well as continue the laptop loaner program that was established by our presidential candidate, Jordan Colquitt. I will work to enhance campus life by providing to fund the campus activities boards and sports club organization, as well as support student organizations with advocating for the creation of a security relief fund for large-scale events such as CSA's Bashment, ADC's Explosion, and LASO's Noche Latina, just to name a few. I will also work to allocate resources for first-generation low-income, okay, thank you. Oh, keep going? Okay, low-income FGLI students and establish the FGLI representative position. Inclusivity, representation, and relief is what I vow to bring it to you as your treasurer. Thank you.
Now let's get into our candidate questions. So the first is going to be from the election commissioners. Okay. What do you believe is the main mission of SGA, and how will you spread that mission to students?
I believe that the main mission of SGA is connecting students with other people. I believe that this is an extremely important aspect of SGA, and I plan on implementing this by having numerous initiatives that not only address the finances, but address the student organizations and student body of Towson University. Thank you.
Okay, so I believe the main mission of SGA is to hear the students' voices and listen to what they need and want. And I believe I will be implementing this by listening to what they actually need. So returning back their fees to them by like student relief and stuff like that.
Thank you. All right, now we have a few questions from our audience. As treasurer, what will be your first priority if elected?
My first priority of being elected would be building a community, and I will plan on doing this by implementing a one-card expansion plan that will take the one card outside of Towson, and you can use it to connect with local vendors and receive benefits for being a part of Towson University. This is a very big part of being treasurer for me because what part of my campaign is thinking big. I want to extend past the treasurer role, like I said, and actually be a vessel of change, like I said in my opening statement. And I plan on doing this by, like I said, by creating the one card expansion plan and creating a community amongst Towson University. Thank you.
you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, of course. As treasurer, what will be your first priority if elected?
Okay, so as treasurer, my first priority would definitely be not only to continue what our current treasurer has in place, but also add on to it. As I mentioned, the student relief fund and stuff like that, but also we're really big on programming. So we want to get students involved even more.
How will you stay in contact with clubs dealing with their budgets?
I plan on keeping in contact with student organizations. Actually, this is a part of my Senate duties and it's very second nature to me. So I believe that this is a natural step in the role of treasurer. I plan on doing this by basically continuing my role as a senator and implementing these roles into my position as treasurer and making this the best way to connect with student orgs as treasurer. I plan on attending student orgs meetings and being overall, like I said, a vessel of change and a representative for the student body, for SGA to the student body. And I want people, not even just student body, but the student orgs to be able to see me as a resource for them for SGA. Thank you.
I myself, I do think that it's important for the senator to relay the message, but I do know this year, some senators have not done that. So that is something that I really want to stand strong on. I also really want to continue the Treasurer Hub. However, I want to work closely with the Director of Communications to keep that updated with the correct information, because I do know that this semester that has not been done.
All right, and last question. What experience or experiences do you have or can contribute to your current running role, and how do you plan to incorporate this into your position?
This question is very similar to the last question, and my response to that is, like I said, being a resource, which is something that I have extensive experience in as a part of the Senate. Being a part of the Senate, you have to maintain communication with student orgs. And we also have to attend budget hearings, and we play an integral part in the amending, denying, and passing of budgets of hundreds of student organizations. So I plan on implementing these experiences in advising the Senate advising the Senate as treasurer, and planning on doing these things by overall using my Senate experience to incorporate this into my role as treasurer. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So my current role as a LASO's treasurer has really prepared me. I feel as though I know how to work with the budget. I know what student organizations need and want. And I will be implementing this by setting meetings with organizations. I want to hear what their treasurers have to say.
All right, now both treasurer candidates will have a 30-second wrap up.
As treasurer, I plan on using my position to integrate unity and reassurance by continuing to be a resource and ensuring that the student body is represented accurately and consistently. Having a treasurer that the student body can believe in is essential to the success of SGA. And with the experience that I have in SGA, I believe that I'm the one to restore the belief. Remember, vote Ignite to you, and don't forget the phrase, in Chidi we trust.
Inclusivity, representation, and relief is what I vow to bring to you as treasurer. Electing me is electing courage to represent students and marginalized communities within our university, ensuring all opinions are included in decision-making processes. I will help to provide relief for you all through advocacy for higher account maximums, allowing student organizations. Oh, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. A big part of the reason that I am running for treasurer is because the treasurer from the 100th administration actually improperly informed LASO and other student organizations about our budget. And that really motivated me to want to represent student orgs.
Time, thank you. If we can give these candidates another great round of applause. All right, so next up, we will have our vice president candidates. All right. So similar to everyone else, you guys will start with a 2-minute introduction, opening statement, followed by questions first from the election commissioners, then the audience, and then you guys will have your 30-second closing statement. Which one would like to begin your opening statements? All right.
How y'all doing today? Everybody looks very nice in the crowd. All right. So my name is Damien Edwards II. I'm currently a sophomore, and I work as the Director of New Student Development within the SGA right now. I'm a dedicated student leader, eager and equipped to continue serving my Towson community through advocacy of important policies such as extension of dining hall hours, effective representation in university committee meetings, and progress toward an overall more inclusive community. I have not only expanded the role by founding Towson University's first transfer council, but I've also co-wrote bills and advocated for their implementation. Through the 2 university committees I represent students within, I've gained the experience and built relationships with higher level administrators such as Assistant Vice President Matt Leno and Vice President of Office of Inclusion and Institutional Equity, Patricia Bradley. Those relationships and experiences will undoubtedly allow me to properly advise the Senate as their executive liaison. Once elected, I will make sure that the SGA Senate is the student hub for activism through quickening the legislative process and the creation of an ad hoc committee specialized in facilitating those tough conversations that lead to actual change. It's because of my passion for serving my Towson community, I am running to be your vice president. Passion, versatility, and experience are all qualities I bring to this position, making me the right candidate. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Favor Teddy, and I'm the vice presidential candidate for the Ignite TU ticket. What started as a high school club trip to Judiciary Square turned out to be one of the most impactful experiences of my life. Having been given the chance to advocate for the youth of the District of Columbia, I got a taste of what it is to make an impact and leave a legacy. Since then, I've been blessed with the opportunity to continue this passion I've developed at Towson University. Timid in my beginnings at Towson, over the past 2 years, joining the SGA has stripped me of that timidity. Through my roles as Senator, Government Operations Chair, and now President Pro Tempore of the Senate, I've gained the confidence, empathy, and drive needed to be the best version of myself, and therefore the best leader that I can be to you all. As much as I've accomplished, the journey has just begun. I want to continue building bonds and connection with the student body, be a harmonizing tool, and expand my leadership through visionary lengths. With these goals in mind, the vice president position could not be a better fit for me. It allows me to keep the internal aspect of SGA, which I love so much, but also become an advocate on a greater scale. In the same way that these leadership positions have allowed me to grow and thrive, I want to be that helping hand for our university. In the world that is ever evolving, it is crucial to be well-rounded. I want to guide Towson to its fullest potential within its community and beyond. And I believe this will be wonderfully achieved through unity, reassurance, and sustain. Thank you.
Thank you guys for your lovely intro statements. Now we're going to get to the question and answer portion. First by the election commissioners. So first, if elected, If elected, what do you as a leader bring to this position that will help promote growth in the students around you?
As a leader, I bring versatility and experience already. I'm versatile in my ability to be able to speak with different people of different ethnicities and backgrounds and build those relationships needed to understand their circumstances. And as the liaison between the executive branch and the legislative branch, I can use that knowledge and those relationships built to create effective policy and push that policy for students. Experience-wise, I've written a couple of bills within, well, I've co-written a couple of bills within the Senate that allows me to already have that experience with seeing how it's done.
For me, this is something I've been passionate, and it goes back to even high school, right? And coming to Towson, I've actually been in the Senate since my sophomore year at Towson University. As mentioned in my opening statement, I was a senator, government operations chair, and now I lead the Senate. So by saying that, it's like being part of the Senate is like me now. I feel like I've gained extensive knowledge of what the Senate is and know how to lead it enough to address these concerns that students may have.
All right, and we will be asking questions from the audience now. So the first one, as a running VP, how do you contribute and work with not only the student body, but your ticket as well?
As VP, how do I work with the student body and my ticket? I think the biggest thing working with the student body, obviously, I'm that liaison between the Senate and the executive board. So already alone, me looking over legislation that address student concerns, that is like a direct link between me and the students. But also with my ticket, even coming up with our platforms, that was something we did hand in hand. These platforms, I will restate, unity, reassurance, and being able to sustain. These are things that we hold dearly to our heart and things that we definitely want to implement. So like I said, the coming up with even the platforms were something we did as a unit. So thank you.
Okay, so can you repeat the question? Like I wrote my response, but I just need to, okay.
Got you. As a running VP, how will you contribute and work with not only your student body, but your ticket as well?
Okay, so I'll be working within the student body and with my ticket by being a force, like being accessible. Favor mentioned her platform, those three things, but we have accessibility, which is a huge thing within our campaign. And that's one thing that you're gonna hear repeatedly throughout all of our candidates. But being accessible, making sure that we're in those student organization meetings, making sure we're seeing the needs of students within all of the organizations. A big thing that Towson does when recruiting new students is always make sure that they explain that we have so many different clubs and organizations. So being able to be a force in those meetings, being able to listen and figure out the needs of those students will allow me to be able, like I said earlier, push policy. And working within my ticket, just allowing the other members within my ticket getting those experiences. But as stated before, it's not about us. It's about the students. It's about the students that we're representing, which is why we will be going to those meetings, being accessible to students, hearing the needs of students, and acting on it, actually implementing what they need.
All right, so your next question will be, how are you planning on communicating with the rest of SGA to improve the work environment in SGA and make sure that everyone can do their jobs effectively? One more time?
Yes,
One more time,
please.
I got you, I'll slow it down. How are you planning on communicating with the rest of SGA to improve the work environment in SGA and make sure everyone can do their jobs effectively?
I think that is a very big aspect of, being a leader is making sure that everybody is able to get their work done and do the proper job. And also as vice president, your big thing is also to make sure that the senators are doing what they're supposed to do and, accomplish their job. So one of my biggest priorities, even if elected, is to build a strong and firm Senate, because I think that is the foundation because the Senate is even the driving force of SGA alone. So making sure that they are confident in their response, they know what they're doing, that alone is something. Once that's done, it can transverse over other branches. When branches see what the Senate is doing and they know that the Senate is confident, this can reflect upon them too and drive them to, do do the same job as well.
So communication is definitely important, especially being vice president, as vice president actually will chair General Assembly meetings. For those who don't know, General Assembly meetings are required meetings for all SGA representatives on Tuesdays of every week, where we meet and discuss different things about what we're doing. And the vice president chairs those meetings. So in my communications, I'd be the one, explaining what's going on. As Favor had mentioned, building a strong Senate is important, but I have a plan for building that strong Senate through Senate retention and programming specifically for those senators to make sure that they understand that, they are important within our organization. Also, our Attorney General candidate Christopher mentioned the PR team that we're going to implement that will allow the actual students within Towson's campus to see what we accomplish. Like, there's a lot of things that we do that students don't know about. Like our presidential candidate Jordan helped with the laptop loaner program. I founded the Transfer Council, and then we have multiple different bills by which we continue to put out that students just don't know about, and that's partially on us, which is why we will implement a system that betters that communication.
All right. And final question. What makes you the most qualified for vice president?
I could go extensively about what makes me qualified, for what makes me the best candidate for vice president. As I've stated, and I will keep restating and leaving you all with, is that this is something this is my life goal, is to be an advocate for people in general. So this is something I've been passionate since I'm actually an immigrant. So since I've got to the United States, this is something I've been passionate about. And so I've even, as mentioned in my opening statement, I wrote legislation that helped the youth of the District of Columbia. So being part of the Senate since I got to Towson in my beginnings has been part of that journey that and allow me to build those experiences that qualify me for this job. Being the leader of the Student Senate this year, I feel, how better does it get, So I feel like these experiences have definitely given me the knowledge that I need, the empathy that I need. I've been able to see, student concerns. I've been able to truly dive into that process and see what the concerns of students at Towson are. So I feel like all these experiences from the moment I got to Towson till now have led me to this moment right here. Thank you.
So what makes me the most qualified is that not only do I have that experience with writing legislation, as Favor mentioned, within her Senate, I have the experience writing legislations, co-writing the legislation, and actually advocating on their behalf in university committee meetings, which is a huge part of being vice president, which I don't believe Ms. Teddy touched on. So what I do in those meetings are you communicate with higher level administrations on behalf of students to represent those students, allowing the higher level administration to see the work that's being done on the behalf of the student community. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but also I'm versatile in being able to talk to different people, build those relationships with different people, which allow me to be the most qualified for this position.
Right, that concludes our Q&A session. So now we'll go with our 30-second wrap-up statements. Whichever one of you would like to go first.
So, through my experiences with writing legislation and relationship building within university committees, I am the perfect candidate for vice president. I have the drive, the knowledge, and experience to effectively execute the role of vice president and eagerly await the chance to prove it. Thank you.
When all of the characteristics of our platform are combined, it can only create a thriving environment and nurture excellence. This is because where there's unity, hatred and division have no place. Where there's reassurance, there's acceptance, comfort, and joy. Where we can sustain these two aspects, we can allow everyone at Towson to reach their full potential and leave their legacy behind. Whatever a legacy means to you, as vice president, I want to be able to bring it to fruition. And with that, I yield. Thank you.
another round of applause. All right, and now we will have our president candidates up. Can we give them another round of applause while they make their way up? All right, just one. How you doing, bro? All right, so just want to start by, well, you guys will have your 2-minute introduction, opening statements, followed by the Q&As from first from the commissioners, and then the following from the audience, and then lastly, your 30-second closing statements. Whichever candidate would like to go first.
Yes, ma'am.
I won't fall. Good evening, everyone. My name is Feli Yigo, and I'm a junior political science major minoring in business communications. The role of the president is not just to be a leader or an overseer. The president position requires an individual with integrity, grit, and a desire to see others win, even if that means they don't. The president must be an experienced individual that not only makes promises, but has created a plan to make sure each initiative they stated is executed effectively. And I could say with great confidence that I meet all these expectations. My Towson SGA journey began my freshman year, September 19, 2019, when I was first confirmed as an SGA senator and the vice chair of the Appropriations Committee. I wrote and fought for numerous legislation that even made its way to the administration. 2020, the following year, I leveled up to the executive board as the treasurer, where I led the entire SGA and over 100 student organizations in all financial related affairs. In fact, I erased the SGA debt 3 years early and constructed an entire budget in one of the most challenging years we ever faced. Lastly, I became the director of student organizations, where I assisted and communicated with over 200 student groups daily. I'm a servant leader and a visionary, and I lead my Ignite TU team in that manner because I believe change holds no boundaries. My goal is not just to become the president of SGA or just improve SGA, but ultimately change the entire college experience. I would do this by first creating a more inclusive and resourceful community for all. I will restore and rebuild the trust and the confidence of students by being more present and transparent. And finally, I will hold myself accountable in this process by sustaining these promises and creating a legacy that cannot be erased even after I'm gone. The goal is to be an agent of change, not just the SGA president. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hi.
Sean.
Hi. You all look lovely tonight. My name is Sean Pollard. I guess I'll start by saying this is my first semester here at TU. I'm a junior this year, and my goal for running is actually to just close the gap between the students and the administration. When I was going around collecting signatures to be put on the ballot, I noticed that a lot of students didn't even know what SGA does. And I feel like that's a major plot hole for what SGA actually does. So along with that, I'd like to advocate for 24-hour dining halls, which people need when they're studying in all hours of the night. Another issue I'd like to focus on is there's no vegan option on campus for students who don't eat like the rest of us do. And coupled with that, just informing our security guards more ineptly on the one card situation and making them more able to assist students in troubling situations. Beyond that, that's really all I'm about. I'm running purely on passion and a genuine thirst for helping people, and I hope that gets me somewhere. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordan Colquitt, and I currently serve as the Towson University Student Government Association Treasurer. I'm also the presidential candidate with the Push and Progress ticket. As the only presidential candidate that's currently a member of the Student Government Association, I believe that I'm uniquely experienced to take on the role as president. In my role as treasurer, I worked around budget deficits to prioritize student wellness and student involvement by fully funding the Campus Activities Board, Sports Clubs Organization, Greek Life Line Item, and the Counseling Center's Together All program. I also worked to establish the SGA Laptop Loaner Program and establish support of the Student Emergency Relief Fund, which was exhausted during the 2 previous semesters. Upon being elected treasurer, I worked to restructure the budget from the 100th administration, which was completely online, and streamlined it into the 101st administration, where the budgetary demands were higher. I did this by reducing wasteful spending and canceling unused subscription services that had gone unnoticed for years. I now seek to represent you all as your next SGA president, eagerly awaiting the opportunity to further my dedication to enhancing our campus community. Effectively representing students is a privilege that I do not take lightly. Accessibility, student wellness, and progress is at the forefront of the vision that I have for the future of Towson University. Creating a unified and inclusive campus community is possible by amplifying student voices, establishing strong campus-wide connections, and increasing SGA's accessibility. Together, with your support, we will work towards a better Towson for us all. Thank you.
Can we give them another round of applause for that opening statement? Okay, now getting started with the election commissioner's first question. What do you see as the top 3 issues facing students today?
Okay, this is, I'll just leave it right here. Hopefully you all can hear me well. So our campaign was structured around our unique individual roles and what we've observed that students and student organizations need. And so as the top 3 concerns, I would say definitely accessibility. I feel like there's, as Sean mentioned earlier, there is a disconnect that exists between the SGA and the student body. And in order for us to truly implement our role as we're supposed to, we have to eliminate that barrier by strengthening our communications and outreach efforts. Secondly, I would say, our campus life is struggling in the aspect of students not knowing necessarily what resources are available to them. And so as a part of our campaign, we want to create a student resource center where students who have any concern, whatever it may be, can go there and get a direct answer. Sort of right now, they may email a certain university department, they may email student activities, student affairs, or the SGA, but there's no centralized place that exists to say, okay, this student has a need, let's address it here, in a centralized place and process. And I think you said like the main 3 things. The last thing I would say is that our student organizations are struggling. COVID really presented new challenges for student orgs and transition materials and understanding how to create a budget and understanding programming. And I think our ticket has the resources and the knowledge. My amazing chief of staff candidate has the experience with working with 25 Live, with working with large scale programming, and in fact will be the most experienced SGA member upon the graduation of all of our current seniors. And so I think those are the 3 main issues and how we will address it.
Repeat the question one more time.
Yes, ma'am. What do you see as the top 3 issues facing students today?
So I'm going to list the top 3 and then explain each of them. The first issue I would say is that the university right now is segregated. Unity is one of our first platforms for a reason. I chose that myself because I realized in order to complete everything else we want to do, it must start with unity. We must start by becoming a unified campus where diversity and inclusion are at the forefront of just about everything we do. The second thing is mental health. I've been advocating for mental health since I was a freshman. And one thing I've been advocating for is that we need to have at least 2 to 3 mandatory mental health days throughout the semester where especially in an event of emergency. There's been numerous shootings at this school. There's been numerous safety hazards at this school where we were required to go to class the next day. There is no reason why after a traumatic event, we should be going to class the next day. So that's one thing I've been advocating for. And overall, mental health is big. It's a big issue in the world. It's a big issue, especially for college students. So there's no reason why we should be suffering the consequences that the university fails to take. I'll give the Counseling Center big credit for what they've done, but SGA has the funds and the resources to make that even better. The last thing, of course, as presidential candidate Jordan has said, campus life, school spirit is dead. The Towson community needs to revive and needs to ignite once again. So for example, there's been a lot of events, there's been a lot of sports games that I've been to and I haven't seen much participation, much school spirit. So one thing we want to do about that is we want to increase the school spirit. We want to make sure that there's people present at these games. We want to bring back that energy of the Towson Tiger. So those are the three things that I mentioned.
Can you all hear me? Okay. So the number one issue I'd say that students are facing today is exclusion. I was having a conversation with senatorial candidate Delena over the weekend, and she said something that I think spoke volumes. She said, diversity has no meaning without inclusion. And what I think that means is that without the proper implication of organizations and spaces for people to be who they truly are with people who are truly like them, nothing's going to change. And the need for having all these different races and ethnic groups here just loses its value. The second issue I'd say that we're facing as students is debt. I believe that that can be solved by implementing programs like a Students Achieving Success program, where they bring forth scholarships to the students rather than having the responsibility be laid on the students to go look for the scholarships. You bring about opportunities that are specifically tailored to those families and those people that are in low income situations, and it makes it easier for everybody. And then lastly, I'd agree with President candidate Fiti that Felly, I'm so sorry. But Felly, that stress is also a number one killer in students these days. So we could implement different rooms where people can go to chill out, talk to each other, and just bounce ideas off of each other and just lay off that extra stress that they're developing.
Thank you. Now we're going to go over to the audience questions. So the first, what experiences have prepared you for the role of president? How will those experiences impact your leadership?
So the experiences I've had, as I mentioned earlier in my speech, I've been in SGA for the past 3 years. First year, I started off as a senator and the vice chair of the Appropriations Committee, where I worked closely with the treasurer. Second, in my sophomore year, I was the treasurer of the 100th administration, where I cleared the debt. Third year, I was the director of student organizations. And not only that, not only do I have SGA experiences, but this is my life. You know, I want to be a diplomat, I want to be a senator in real life. So this is something I'm extremely passionate about. This is something I work to, and this is God sent for me. So one of the things that my experience overall, it has taught me leadership. It has taught me how to be a servant leader, where you serve people first and then you lead afterwards. You put the needs of people before yourself. So it's taught me that. And it's taught me how to be a presidential person, how to hold myself with assertiveness, how to hold my morals and stand true to my integrity. So that's how all these experiences have basically summed up into who I am today. Thank you.
In the beginning of my collegiate experience, I interned with the state senator, Senator Sarah Elfreth, who's actually an alumni for Towson University. Among that, I was the chosen student to serve as the student chair on the board of trustees at my community college. And on top of that, I was the student ambassador for the Black Male Initiative, which is a program amongst the community colleges where they meet up at Montgomery College to have a summit for all Black men in the community college community to just de-stress and bounce ideas off of each other, like I spoke on earlier. I feel like all of those experiences allow me to view issues that come in this capacity in a different light. I believe that having the real world experience with the state Senate and legislature will allow me to properly
govern the school and implement ideas and concepts that will ultimately progress the student body. And I believe that makes me a candidate who knows how to carry himself in professional settings. Thank you.
Do you mind repeating the question, please?
Yep. What experiences have prepared you for the role of president, and how will those experiences impact your leadership?
Okay, first, thank you for that question. I think that's a great question. And as I touched on in my opening statement, as the only current member of the Student Government Association seeking the presidency, the role as treasurer has prepared me extensively. I've worked with almost every area of this university. I have the institutional knowledge, the connections with our university administration, and not only that, I'm not only sitting before you to say, oh, I know this administrator, or I know Dr. Hurt, or I know Dean Skavakis, or Rudins and Chris sitting in front of us, but I can tell you projects that I've worked on with each administrator and how we got things done and how I worked as a results-driven leader to bring results to the student body. So I would say like that's how my unique experience has prepared me for the role of president.
All right, next question. For president, a common concern with students is campus safety. How do you plan to address this issue?
All right, again, thank you for the question. And I think this is a great question that definitely needs to be answered, especially in the wake of so many things that have happened this semester. And just being transparent, things will happen, things will continue to happen. But I think developing that emergency response when things do arise will be key in addressing things in the 102nd administration. This year, actually, I served as a member along with my vice president candidate, Damien, on the Tiger Advocacy Advisory Team, where we've worked with key areas of the university, including events and conference services, all the way up to TUPD, to kind of deal with specifically First Amendment rights issues, but I think that can extend definitely that experience into issues regarding campus life and campus safety. And a portion of our platform is dedicated to enhancing student wellness and enhancing campus life. And I think you can't really talk about those things without first ensuring that we have a safe campus, not only in the sense of violence, but also in the sense of making sure that our diverse communities have a place on this campus. And I think our platform does that.
State the question.
For president, a common concern with students is campus safety. What plans do you have to address these issues?
So as Jordan had mentioned, campus safety is extremely important. That's actually one of our second platforms, which is reassurance. And the goal of that is to restore and rebuild the trust and confidence of the SGA member and also the Towson student. So I actually had a friend that got killed near this campus. So this is actually very personal to me. So I have a few initiatives actually that I want to take on to make sure that things like this don't happen again. You know, we can't prevent gun violence, we can't prevent those things, but we can react better. We could take action, the necessary actions now to make it at least more preventable. So one initiative, for example, is I want to increase the blue lights and fix the lighting around campus. I know many of you, if you walk to West Village and all that stuff, if you go near the library and all that, there's lights that don't work there anymore. And I've brought this concern since my sophomore year, not much has been done. So I definitely want to be increasing more blue light awareness and emergency tools and fixing the lights around campus. Another thing I wanted to plan having, along with my VP who will be present, is having monthly safety forums. And these safety forums will focus directly with TUPD and administration to talk and discuss about the safety aspects of campus, not just what the students necessarily want, but how to make the students both feel safe and actually be protected. And lastly, of course, is like I had mentioned, fixing the broken lights and just providing that confidence and that security. Because I went to Towson originally because it was told to be the best and the safest school in Maryland. So although I don't feel that way anymore, I want to make sure the generation that comes after me with my presidency can feel safe and both protected on campus. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question for me?
Of course. For president, a common concern with students is campus safety. What are your plans to address these issues?
A plan that I would have to address these issues is to greaten the presence of campus security in key points on campus, like in parking garages and around the entrances and exits to dorm buildings, and possibly even across the bridge or in dark, poorly lit areas.
Next question. How have you held yourself individually responsible for your previous roles in SGA? If you have received a professional development review, how have you handled it, or how would you handle it?
I can start with this question. Holding myself accountable, first of all, when you're in the Student Government Association, you're elected to represent the students, and every action that you take in that role, you should be thinking about the students first and holding yourself accountable to them. The SGA budget is funded through student fee dollars. All of our initiatives, programs, including personnel, are funded directly from students, and holding myself to that high standard of accountability has led to, thankfully, myself never having received a professional development review, and I don't plan on receiving one in my future years in the Student Government Association.
Can you restate the question real quick?
Yep. How have you held yourself individually responsible for your previous roles in SGA? If you have received a professional development, how did you handle it, or how would you handle it?
So I'll be very transparent right now. I have received a PDR before professional development thing just recently, actually. And I took it like a G. You know, I'm standing here on stage. I'm still here. I'm still present. I'm still running for president, regardless of what PDR I was given. Second, hold on. Second, the reason for those things, I'm a force to be reckoned with. I don't take no for an answer, and I fight for what's right. You know, so I'm going to continue doing that throughout my entire campaign. And I told my executive team themselves, hold me accountable. Make sure that I don't say or do anything that's not from the will of them as well. My biggest thing is to compromise. My biggest thing is to put my people first. And that's what we'll continue doing as presidents. PDR is not the thing I'm looking for when it comes to my administration. I first look at discipline and then punishment, but punishment is not the first thing because it solves nothing. Thank you.
Well, that was riveting from both of you. I love it. Love to see it. Like I said in my opening statement, I am a first semester student at TU, and I have not served in the SGA yet. So that means I have not received a PDR, but I think that makes me a great candidate because because there's no grudges or gimmicks driving my goal, just positivity and progress all together. For Pollard.
All right, next question. What is your plan on bridging the gap between students and SGA?
I can answer this one. Arguably the largest portion of our platform is making SGA more accessible, making SGA more open. Every position on our ticket has a plan for exactly how they will, in their role, do that. One of those ways is hosting general body meetings. As my attorney general candidate mentioned earlier, we do have general assemblies every Tuesday. No, they are not the funnest meeting. And no, they should not be the only channel of communication that the SGA has where the student body can come to us and say, hey, I have these concerns. You're my representative. You should address this issue. I was walking in class, or my professor did this. I have this issue around campus. So definitely extending the avenues of which students can voice their concerns to us in a more open manner. Secondly, improving our communications efforts to include biweekly newsletters. We have the access to communicate with the student body, and I would love to see the SGA use that channel more often. Just in terms of accountability and transparency, you guys deserve to know what we're doing. And you know, we should be held accountable to ensuring that we see that through. Thank you.
Can you say the question one more
time? What is your plan on bridging the gap between SGA and students?
Okay, so as presidential candidate Jordan had mentioned, we do have General Assembly meetings, but the problem with that is nobody comes, right? So the first way and the only way to bridge this gap is our presence. I have required it for my entire exec team and anybody that comes into my administration that your presence is required. And when I say your presence, I mean your presence within the student body. When I was director, one of my biggest things is I attended at least 2 student group meetings a week. And I already told my VP and I that it is a requirement from both me and her to be in attendance of these student group meetings, to be advocating for the student behalf. And just like I did in campaign where I walked around the union for 8 hours talking to people, I still plan to continue doing that as president, because at the end of the day, the title means nothing. I still want to be able to talk to students on a student level, because at the end of the day, I'm first a student and then I'm a leader. So the biggest way to bridge this gap is to bow down and becoming one of you guys, as we already are, to have our presence, to be transparent. And from that, everything else, such as, more attendance to the General Assembly meetings and everything else will follow after. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question for me one more time?
What is your plan on bridging the gap between students and SGA?
I think my answer to that is I would want to bridge the gap between not just students that are in SGA, but the students that are outside of SGA. I feel like that's a big problem with the Student Government Association. We only cater to the people that are in the Student Government Association. So I guess my answer to that is I would focus on the people who aren't in SGA.
Thank you. All right, and last question. What makes you the most qualified for the president position?
So what makes me the most qualified for the presidential position? I've talked about my experience numerous times, but I'll restate it again. I was a senator my freshman year, September 19th, when I first joined the Senate. I was on the executive by my sophomore year, just like Jordan Colquitt, but I was also the director of student organizations. That alone, my SGA experience, but also my experience outside of SGA. I'm a community leader, I'm a tutor, and I do numerous things around campus, including holding a building manager position job and being an FYE leader. On top of that, I'm also a community person outside. I'm originally from the state of Connecticut. I'm not a Maryland resident, so I have held a lot of positions outside of there as well, where I've public spoke in front of over 5,000 people, and I have the courage to be a well-rounded leader. Lastly, of course, this is my passion. This is what I was born, God sent to do. I was born to be an advocate. I was born to be an agent of change, not just the president, but an agent of change. So that's one of the many reasons why I believe I'm the most and the best candidate for the SGA position.
I believe what makes me the best candidate for SGA president is my real world experience in the Maryland General Assembly and my real world experience just working with people that are making a daily change in our day-to-day lives in the state of Maryland, and knowing how those people operate and think and being able to translate those skills to the Student Government Association and its politics. On top of that, I think what makes me the best candidate for SGA president is that I have a clean slate. I don't have a problem with anybody. Nobody has a problem with me. I don't want to do this to be flashy. I don't want to do this to make a statement. I'm just simply here because I see the problems with the school and I want to solve them, simply put. So I think one thing I've touched on my experiences as treasurer. Some of you may know I'm a cadet in the Army ROTC program, and through that, I'm a member of the Resiliency, Awareness, Prevention, Inclusion, and Diversity program. And basically our focus there is to work to make the Army a better place in terms of diversity and inclusion in all aspects of the word, not just in terms of race. I think the second aspect that makes me the more qualified candidate is not only my own experiences, but that of my team. We understand campus life in every aspect of the word. We have resident assistants represented on our ticket. We have student organizations treasurer represented on our ticket, organization vice presidents represented. And so we've been in every aspect of campus life, and we really have that understanding of what not only our student body needs, but what our student organization needs, and truly what you all are facing. And so I've touched on my experience extensively as treasurer and some of the amazing things that I've been able to accomplish. And no doubt electing myself in the Pushing Progress ticket will continue to do those things.
All right. And that will conclude our Q&A session. And now we'll have our 30-second wrap-ups from each of our candidates.
Sean, you ain't never go first, bro.
Really? All right, I'm gonna go first. All right, I'm gonna go first. All right, go up here. All right. Okay, can you guys hear me fine? I feel like, all right. I feel like I want to close my argument out with the fact that I'm running solo. So there's no one else's ideals or energies being placed into my drive to be SGA president. It's just me alone and my ideals and my passions and the things that I see and the things that I want to solve. And yeah.
The needs of our university are changing. This change requires a leader that can rise to the challenge and leverage resources to push progress. I have not only the institutional knowledge and desire to amplify student voices, but a strong track record of delivering results on behalf of the student body. A vote for myself in the Pushing Progress ticket is a vote for support, experience, and dedication. And I just want to say for the record, we'll stick around after the debate if you all have any specific questions regarding our platform. Thank you for your time.
Can I begin? Okay. Change hold no boundaries. In order for this university to excel into its fullest potential, it requires a versatile and experienced leader that can appeal to all diverse groups and not be afraid to stand up to the challenge when it's time to fight for change. Igniting TU is not just a ticket name, it's a movement. Vote the entire Ignite TU team to start the groundwork of creating a better and more exciting college experience. A single flame can start an entire movement. Let's ignite TU. Thank you.
All right, can we give our presidential candidates another round of applause? Yes. On behalf of the Election Commission, we would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Your participation to these events matter to both the Election Commission as well as the candidates running. We would like to remind everyone that voting begins on Wednesday, April 20th at 9 a.m. and closes Thursday, April 21st at 4 p.m. You can vote at any one of our polling locations located around campus, outside of Burdick Hall, Lecture Hall, the Union, and West Village Commons. Or you can vote online at involved.towson.edu. Have a great night, and I hope you guys enjoy.